DeAndre Hopkins used to be the big star in Houston. He gave defenses nightmares in Arizona and even reached the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. Now, in 2025, he's rocking the purple in Baltimore as Lamar Jackson's newest weapon. But how did this guy, who once looked untouchable with the Texans, go through so many highs and lows to end up here? This is a story of a player who never stopped reinventing himself. Someone who's lived the glory, the setbacks, and the comebacks. And now, he carries the mission of helping the Ravens finally reach the one thing that's always slipped away, the Super Bowl. The road to this moment was full of twists, and you need to see how it all unfolded. It didn't take long for DeAndre Hopkins to prove he was special. The moment he arrived at Clemson in 2010, he started making noise. He wasn't just another freshman fighting for a role. Right away, he became the team's go-to receiver. Every play showed confidence. And even at such a young age, Hopkins carried himself like a veteran. By 2011, his second year, he had already leveled up. Clemson put together a strong season, and Hopkins built an explosive partnership with Sammy Watkins. They were the perfect duo: speed, technique, and the ability to turn simple catches into game-changing plays. At that point, it was clear Hopkins wasn't just potential anymore. He was already one of the best wideouts in college football. Then came 2012, the breakout year. Hopkins went off, leading the ACC in receiving yards and breaking the school record with 18 touchdowns. Clemson hit 11 wins for the first time in decades, and a big part of that success was thanks to him. He was the kind of player who could flip the outcome of a game with one catch. By the end of that year, there was no doubt Hopkins was NFL ready. After dominating the conference, he declared for the draft, leaving Clemson as one of the greatest receivers to ever wear the uniform. It was a turning point that turned a promising young kid into a future NFL star. And in 2013, Houston made sure to grab him in the first round. That's where the next chapter begins, Hopkins becoming the face of the Texans offense. When the Texans drafted DeAndre Hopkins in the first round of 2013, they made it clear they wanted a game changer. And right away, even during a disastrous 2-14 rookie season, Hopkins stood out. He racked up over 800 yards, showing that he wasn't just a rookie. He was going to be the foundation of their passing game. In 2014, he took another step forward, topping 1,200 yards and solidifying himself as the team's main target. But 2015 was the year he officially hit superstar status. Despite catching passes from 4 different quarterbacks, Hopkins put up insane numbers: 111 catches, more than 1,500 yards, and 11 touchdowns. That season earned him a Pro Bowl spot and put him firmly in the conversation as one of the league's elite receivers. Over the next few years, the pattern continued. The Texans struggled to make playoff runs, but Hopkins kept delivering elite numbers. From 2017 to 2019, he was named first-team All-Pro 3 straight times and stacked multiple 1,000-yard seasons. He wasn't just Houston's best player. He was one of the very best in the NFL. But even with all that success, the partnership had an expiration date. In 2020, the Texans shocked the football world by trading Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals in a move that was heavily criticized. Just like that, a new era was starting, and Hopkins was about to team up with a young quarterback named Kyler Murray. Hopkins' arrival in Arizona brought instant excitement. With Kyler Murray emerging as one of the league's most dynamic young quarterbacks, Hopkins became his top weapon almost overnight. In 2020, the duo clicked immediately. Hopkins finished the season with 115 receptions and over 1,400 yards, and along the way, he became the youngest player in NFL history to hit 10,000 career receiving yards. But things didn't stay smooth. In 2021, injuries started to creep in. First a hamstring issue, then a torn MCL that ended the season early. Even so, he still managed to score 8 touchdowns, proving that even when banged up, he was dangerous every time he stepped on the field. Then came 2022, and it brought another setback. A 6-game suspension for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. When Hopkins returned, he flashed glimpses of his old self, putting up over 700 yards in just 9 games. But once again, the Cardinals couldn't translate his production into playoff success. Hopkins kept performing, but the team kept falling short. By 2023, his time in Arizona was up. The Cardinals released him, and it didn't take long for Hopkins to find a new home in the AFC, the Tennessee Titans. Another chapter, another chance to prove he still belonged among the league's best.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
In Tennessee, Hopkins quickly reminded everyone he wasn't done yet. In 2023, he turned back the clock, topping 1,000 receiving yards for the first time since 2020 and adding 7 touchdowns. His highlight came in Week 8 against Atlanta, where he scored 3 times in one game, a vintage performance that silenced any doubts about what he still had left in the tank. But the story took another twist in October of 2024. Hopkins was traded mid-season to the Kansas City Chiefs, landing in one of the league's most explosive offenses with Patrick Mahomes. Even joining halfway through, he fit right in, adding 437 yards and 4 touchdowns down the stretch. That move gave Hopkins something he had chased his entire career, a trip to the Super Bowl. On the biggest stage, against the Eagles, Hopkins delivered. He scored a touchdown and converted a 2-point try, proving once again that he shines brightest in big moments. But it wasn't enough. The Chiefs fell 40-22, and Hopkins walked away without the ring he had been chasing for years. After the season, he became a free agent once again. And just when it seemed like his journey might be winding down, a new door opened, this time in Baltimore, with a chance to be part of something special. In March of 2025, Hopkins signed with the Ravens, stepping into yet another chapter of his career. At 33 years old, he joins a wide receiver group featuring Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, but his role is crystal clear: bring veteran experience, consistency, and be the reliable target Lamar Jackson can lean on when the pressure is at its peak. The expectations are huge. The Ravens have been contenders for years, but they've never managed to get over the hump and reach the Super Bowl. Hopkins may not be in his physical prime anymore, but what he brings, toughness, experience, and clutch play, could be exactly what Baltimore needs to finally break through. And it's not just about what he does on the field. Hopkins' presence in the locker room, his work ethic, and his ability to guide younger receivers could have just as much impact. He's reinvented himself at every stop, through injuries, trades, and setbacks. Now he's got one more chance to prove he can still change the outcome of the season. From Clemson to Houston, Arizona to Tennessee, then Kansas City, and now Baltimore. Hopkins' career has been a story of resilience, talent, and unforgettable moments. And in 2025, he's writing what could be his final, and maybe most important, chapter. DeAndre Hopkins has built a career defined by talent, resilience, and constant reinvention. At Clemson, he was a star in the making. In Houston, he became one of the league's elite receivers, even without stability at quarterback. In Arizona, he battled injuries and a suspension, but his impact never disappeared. Then came a resurgence with the Titans, a Super Bowl run with the Chiefs, and now a fresh opportunity with the Ravens. At 33, Hopkins might not have the same burst he once did, but his hands, his experience, and his ability to deliver when it matters most still set him apart. For Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, he could be the steady veteran presence that helps turn deep playoff runs into a Super Bowl celebration. This may be Hopkins' last great shot at the ring, and both he and Baltimore know it. So here's the real question. Will this partnership finally deliver the Super Bowl Hopkins has chased his whole career, and the Ravens have been waiting for? If history has taught us anything, it's simple. You can never count out DeAndre Hopkins.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.